And welcome back, footy fans, to another episode of Donnie's Disposals. I am your host, Coach Donnie Hess here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have it. We are here. The W season technically has already started, but we have our preview show. We must talk about what is the fantastic, that is the AFLW. Cannot wait. So much fun. This is one of my favorite times of the year because unlike the men's season, I don't have 8 million things going on when it comes to footy during the W season. So I can really focus on the fantastic footy that the women play. And joining me, as we kind of discussed in the last episode on it, we have Miss Allie Farrell hopping on to join me to do the preview. Allie, again, great to see you.
Yes, very excited to be on for the very first review or preview of the AFLW and such an exciting season ahead.
Yeah, cannot wait. So excited for the W season. But before we get into the preview, we must talk about what just happened, and that is the rep game between Ireland and Australia at North Sydney Oval. What a beautiful performance that we were treated to. The Australians getting the win. Ali, as an Australian that you are, I know you were probably filled with pride that your lovely Aussies got the win. But how awesome was this game? Because the Irish fans were up and about. The Irish girls gave it a mighty crack. We knew the Australians were probably going to win this game, but I think Ireland did not disappoint. It was so much fun to watch this game.
Yeah, what a great spectacle for the game and just an awesome opportunity for the AFLW to really show, their best players and gosh, it really did live up to it and the best players really stepped up in the end. And but yeah, like you said, the Irish girls, they were just so exciting. And once they were able to work their way into the game, you could really see how, them shine as well. So cool.
Well, well, I will say this, and I pointed this out to a few people, and because I know that there was a lot of discourse about why didn't they move it to the SCG? The SCG was available at the same time, yada. And I pointed this out to some people. I understand that I think they wanted a sold out venue. I think they absolutely had to have a sold out venue. They got it. I also think there's a little part of me that there's a little bit cheeky by the AFL because I think honestly, if they would have moved it to the SCG, I think it might have made this game a little bit more competitive because the contested footy was where Australia was absolutely fantastic. They had some great contested beasts on
Mm,
that roster. Ireland wanted to run. Ireland wanted
yeah,
space. They wanted to be able to play Gaelic footy. They wanted to use the space. I think if they had moved to the SCG, I think this game would have been closer. And,
yeah,
and
great
I will
call.
continue to say this. I think that's the reason they kept it at North Sydney Oval, is they wanted the Australians to win this game and be impressive because they knew if they spread it out and played it on a big, expansive ground like SCG for W, 16 aside, the Irish would have been in this game a lot more than they were in this particular game because the two kicks and we're on goal really advantaged the Australians compared to
Mm.
because you notice when the Irish got their handball game going, a lot like what Sydney is doing in the men,
Mm.
they tore open that Australian
They were
defense because
exciting.
they were so quick. The handballs were perfect. You could hear the fans. You can tell there were so many Irish there. It was again incredible performance. The 50-point score, I don't, it's irrelevant in the long run. It was just great to see an
Mm.
incredible all-star team of Irish players who have, some of them have never played with each other because they always play for different counties. How incredible their connection was once they got started. It was so much fun to watch. You saw the Gaelic influence. It's incredible for it. I love it. I'm crossing my fingers that maybe they do this in Ireland one year. How awesome would that be for a
Mm.
preseason for this game to be played in Ireland? I know logistics would be an absolute nightmare, but how cool would it be to play a game of Aussie rules at Croke Park? How cool would
Yeah,
that be? Like that would be
that'd be unbelievable.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot. They're going to have to work with the GAA on that, but I think it was incredible. But this was a
Mm.
perfect setup to start the season. Now, I know as we're recording, there's already been a game of round one already played. We are not going to talk about it. I am going to leave that for next week. I will already let my co-host for next week. We'll talk about it then. So we're going to just kind of go over that. We're not going to talk about round one. We will tip the rest of round one. The other 8 games will be tipped at the end of the episode. So I kind of labeled this next part seasons, questions, and predictions. So there's a few
Mm.
questions that I'd like to talk about, Ali, and a few predictions that I cannot wait to see what you think. We'll start off. I think this is the question everybody has. Can North go unbeaten again for the third straight year?
Yes, I think the answer. I mean, like, I think this year is going to be the most competitive year, and really even across the whole competition. But yeah, I think North are really going to be super strong again and the team to beat. They've just got so much experience um, and just a good balance with their team, and they're just coached so well. They're
Mhm.
got such a great system, and I think just their depth as well. If a player does get injured, like yes, they've got some older players, but one player goes down and they've just got another player that just steps in and is just so strong. And they're also like really eager for that opportunity, so they are able to step up. And yeah, I think they're just going to be really strong again and hard to beat.
Yeah, they're so deep. I mean, like I said, last year Blaine Blog was had not played a single game of AFL footy.
Yeah.
She had been a list player, and last year was one of the best forwards in the entire competition, and absolutely exploded on the scene. So North, they're just so deep. Like as soon as they could have an injury and they're just able to absorb it. So I'm
Mhm.
with you. I think they can go. I don't think they will though. Like I agree with you. I think this is could be one of the most competitive seasons we've ever seen in the AFLW. We've had way too many years where I think we kind of could sit here at the start of the year and go, well, there's three, maybe four teams that can win the flag. Everybody else, they're competing for the final spot. This year, Melbourne looked good. North looked good. How will Port be this season? How will Sydney bounce back? How will Brisbane be? Brisbane has always been really good. The question will be there. How Fremantle? How's Fremantle go this year? Adelaide Crow will be another one that I think there's a lot of teams to watch. There's a lot of teams. There's a few question marks, and I kind of like that. And with North, it's the same thing: is can they do it again? Is the pressure starting to build on Coach Crocker that continue to win? And will we start to see some of the older bodies, Kate Sheila or Emma Carney, some of those start to wear down a little bit to the point where they're only one or two games every 3 weeks. So I think there's a lot of questions, and I cannot wait. I think it's going to be an exciting year. Can North go unbeaten? Absolutely. They're too deep. They're so good, as you said, so well coached, so structurally sound. I mean, you don't smash Brisbane in a grand final without being really good. So
Mm.
can they? Yes. Will they? I don't think so. I think this
Yeah.
could be this. I think we start to see the younger teams, the teams with a lot of young depth, the Carltons, the Sydneys, the Richmonds, the Western Bulldogs that have a lot of young talent. This is the year we see the bounce of that young talent start to grow, especially like Port Adelaide, the three girls in 1 year, all in the top five when it comes to
Mm.
how good they could be. So I am super excited. Cannot wait.
Yeah, I
I'm
think the game is only going to get quicker.
uh-huh.
So that's a really good point with the younger generation of players coming through, and will North be able to keep up with that? Like they'll have their structures and to combat that, but yeah, it's going to be so exciting to watch.
Will we see what's really in vogue in the men's, that handball and run game? Will we see it start to envelop into AFLW, which I think would be
Mm.
fascinating. So when I first sent this out, I thought this was a great question, but I'm gonna kind of change it just the tiniest bit a little bit. So it's a little bit question without notice. I'm gonna have you say it in two ways. One, who's your breakout player for your beloved Geelong Cats, and who's your breakout player outside of the Cats and the competition that you think could have a breakout year this year?
Yeah, for the Cats, she's already had an awesome few preseason games, but Michaela Bowen, she
Mhm.
has started in the midfield for the Cats, and just that running fast game is her game, and a bit like the Max Holmes type of midfielder, I think, and she's able to really break the game open. So I think with her and Press Barkus and Nina Morrison in there, she's going to be a great addition to the midfield if she stays as an inside
Mhm.
mid. So I think she'll have a massive year for Geelong,
Could could we
which is
see the
exciting.
start of the Dash sisters down in Geelong?
Hey, that'd be
Could we
nice.
see that? I'm going to say this, just to go off your Geelong, and then I'll do the Sydney one, and then I need your competition wide breakout. A couple of names that were drafted this year that I think could make an impact, and I'm interested to see, do they get a run? Evie Coucher, the WA defender, who I
Yeah,
thought was a steal for Geelong when they got her,
absolutely.
and then
I was
Priya
so
Bowering,
happy.
the Tassie
Yeah.
girl, who I thought she highly touted. I think some people were a little scared with Tassie coming in. She may go home. So will Geelong be benefited by Priya dropping down a little bit? So there's a couple of names I'm looking at Geelong going could be incredible if they get the opportunity because I think they're incredibly really good footy players that I think could make an impact for a Cats team that I think has the chance to bounce up the ladder a little bit this year.
Yeah, I went.
For my Sydney Swans, I'm interested to see the growth of Montana Ham
Oh
because
yeah.
she's shown flashes. She's shown brilliant bits of play to the point where I've almost said I think Sophia Hurley has actually passed her when it comes to her impact on the team. Can Mon become that player? Can she become that player that I think we all know she is? Big bodied midfielder, can go forward, can kick goals, incredibly talented, strong as a bull ox. Absolutely love her to death. I want her to have a breakout year. I want her to potentially take that reins as that best player on the Swans team ahead of a Chloe Malloy, ahead of a Laura Gardner, ahead of a Sophia Hurley. Um, I want her to have that. So I'm hoping that that happens. I think I could see it when it comes to it. When it comes to the competition, I think a player that I think is going to be very interesting to keep an eye on will be will we see Eden Zanka at Fremantle? How's that impact? Turbo is potentially back this year. We'll have to see how that goes. Ava Usher up at Gold Coast. The presumed number one for the longest time, had some injury issues. How does she impact? Sunny Lappin at Gold Coast as well. She was the highest Gold Coast of the academy girls that was drafted. I'm sitting here trying to think of just there's so many that I could sit here and run off the top of my head. I'm interested to see how Brooke Boyle does, the former Allied Crow does at Carlton. How will she do the move to Victoria? So uh, will we see the double hyphen Western Turner at North? Will we see her get some run, or will she develop and then move in once we see some of the retirements? So a lot. I think there's a lot of girls that potentially could be fun to watch this year. So do you have a
Yeah.
competition as somebody in the competition that you're looking forward to outside of the cat?
Yeah, some great names. You said that, and that I'm really excited to see as well. Just a couple of others, or a few others, is Matia Breed for Collingwood,
Yeah.
obviously coming back after an ACL. Obviously, got a little bit of bias there with she was a Norwood girl
Hmm.
originally, and yeah, she's a really good mate, and I just am really excited to see her go about it. And I think she will have a breakout year for Collingwood. Just
Yeah.
depends on how much opportunity she gets. Obviously, um, I think Collingwood will still be developing this year. So, how much will the ball actually be down in the forward line? Will she get opportunity in the midfield? Not sure because of coming off of an ACL. So, but she's one that definitely I'm excited to see have a big year. And the other one that I'm like super excited to see, and again, it's just my Adelaide bias, but Maddie Newman at the Crows, I think with the outs going out of the Crows this year, with obviously Chelsea Randall sadly having to retire, and Brooke Boylo leaving. There's really a lot of opportunity, I think, with the Crows, just them losing some of that experience. So I think she's really going to step up and have a big year. But then, yeah, as far as the kids go, like that's what really excites me is those draft picks. And you mentioned probably the one I'm looking forward to watching the most is Sunny Lappin. I got to see her firsthand last year coaching the under 18s. She tore us up in the game we come up against Brisbane. So Queensland, sorry. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how she goes in the AFLW competition.
It's going to be interesting. There's so many that I'm looking at. I'm looking forward to watching. I know Imogen Chengrove, another Adelaide girl over at Collingwood. How does she impact? Does she get to play? 'Cause she was so much fun to watch at Woodville West Torrens last year. Just
Yeah.
so many. Olivia Wolmarans, the WA girl at Richmond. How will Richmond use her when it
Mm.
comes to it? Because they already have Caitlin Greiser and Katie Brennan. There's talk Katie Brennan may move up the ground a little bit this year to let Olivia Wolmarans kind of have that full forward position, or maybe even that center half forward. So there's a lot of youngsters and a lot of players that I think is going to be fun to watch. Elaine Grigg, how does she do at the Western Bulldogs, the Central Districts? Too many Adelaide connections here. I'm sorry. You start talking Adelaide, the Sample W. There's so many solid talent coming out of that, and they're making an impact in the AFLW, which I cannot wait. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to ask this question because this is something I'm a little leery about, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this. What are your thoughts on this year's double headers that they're talking about, both men's and women, and the women's double headers that the AFLW is doing this year?
Um, I thought going off of the game on the weekend, I thought that was a success, just with the numbers that they had stick around. So I think it's a good thing. I don't think you want it every single week, but I reckon the double headers every now and then are a great opportunity just to grow the game and hopefully get more fans watching, like staying in bums on seats. So I think that's a great opportunity, but also just for the girls to get to play at Marvel Stadium and that kind of thing is so cool because that I know we're not going to talk about that game too much, but just seeing that the girls the way they were able to play on a dry, quick deck was you get to see the best football because
Mhm.
it's not wet. They're not playing on these games that are boggy and in windy conditions out at Windy Hill and that kind of thing. So yeah, you get to see the best footy on the best kind of grounds.
Yeah, it's really making a strong argument that some of these bigger stadiums is where we need to play some of these W games because the perfect conditions lead for really good footy. I still personally, I would still love to see the AFLW go to 18 aside because I
Mm,
think there's almost
100%.
too much space.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like you're hindering the women when I think you really should switch it. I think the men should be playing 16 and I think the women should be playing 18 just because of, again, this is not me bashing it. It's the kicks aren't as long, the kicks aren't as far. So why are we only having 16 aside? Now, it helps the Irish. I think the Irish are advantaged because there's less players, so they can use their speed, they can run in space. I think that's the reason why the Irish have been so successful in the W because there's less on the field. I think if you
Mm.
go to 18, I think you could structure it up. I think the game would be even better. I know four more players, ooh, but I think really would help out this. For me,
You're
this is
speaking
this.
too much common sense there, Donny. I think if the
Yeah,
under 18s competition is 18 aside, and it
why
is
is
it's
why
so
is the
good to
pros
watch.
16? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with list sizes too. I think the list sizes are too small. I think the list sizes need to be bigger because I'm starting to see it. I just saw a report. There's scrounging around before we got on. There's a report that there's a couple of teams that may need top up players because they have six on the
Mm.
list. We're running into that problem of is the I think the list sizes are just still too small. I think they still need to be bigger. I think they need to be 18 aside, but again, I can scream into the void as much as I want. They're not going to listen to little old me, I guess. Here's my thing. I love the initiative. I think it's awesome. My worry is that this is going to lead the AFL into thinking that it is a great idea to run the competitions at the same time.
Mm.
And as much as I hear so many people saying that it would be great, I don't think it will be. And this is just me personally, so please take this with a grain of salt. There's already enough people that think that the AFL has to prop up the W because it needs it to be profitable or it needs it to be functional. The fan bases are two completely different fan bases. That's the one thing I think many people don't seem to understand. The W fan base and the men's fan base are two completely different. Are there men's fans that will get into the W as it gets better? Absolutely. I know that will happen because there are footy fans that want to support their club. But there will always be men's fans that will never accept W footy. We just
Hmm.
have to accept that fact. That's just
Hmm.
the truth. It's the same thing with sports over here. There are men that will never support women's hockey, women's basketball, women's football, none of it. They just
Hmm.
won't. They don't
Yeah.
want to watch it. They don't care. Is it misogynist? Maybe, but I'm not going to sit there and tell them because some people, it's just not entertaining to them. And you are allowed to think that way. That is fine. As long as you're not bashing it in the process of not watching it, which is one of my biggest pet peeves that I have for so many people. I want this to be successful. I want the W to grow because I think it's the growth area that the AFL want, but they're not accepting of it because the AFL House continues to prove it's not trying to help the W grow.
Hmm.
It wants the W as a look what we're doing for women.
Mm.
That's about it. It's lip service on a pig. And I hate saying
Mm.
that. So this is my worry that these double headers will only continue to grow this argument that the W needs the M to work. And that's the issue that I see is that it's become subservient to the men's game. And I don't want that to happen. And I know there's players going, it would be great. I'm gonna sit here and tell you this right now. Most people are not going to sit for 5 hours worth of footy. And that's the one fact I think most people forget. The women's game is going to be over 2 hours long. The men's game is going to be over 3 hours long. Not many people are going to sit around for 5 hours.
100%. Yeah.
That's the problem that I see. So these double headers, as great as the Carlton St Kilda game, I agree with you. It's great, 20,000 people. That's incredible. But it's not 40,000. It's not the entire arena that's sitting there.
Mm.
So we know that there is drop off, or there are people that are just not going to go to both. And that's
Mm.
just the one fact we have to just kind of accept. So we'll have to see. I think it's a great initiative, but I worry people are going to go, look at 20,000 and then wait till the entire season. And then they move it towards the same time of the year and you're getting 5,000 at the women's games. Then
Yeah, and
what?
I think it's as long as they go about it in the right way, I think
And don't hold
not
your breath
not
on
too
that. I'm
many of
sorry.
them.
I'm sorry. Don't hold
Yeah.
your breath on that. That's the problem is that them
Yeah.
doing the right for the women is something I just
Mm.
don't see very often.
Yeah. That just not having too many of them, having a good balance so there's that good exposure and the opportunity as well for the girls to play um at a venue like that and in front of people, um other people. But I think just speaking from experience, on like the double header games, one of the things I know that it's like obviously the festival of footy, but back in 2022, when Geelong won the flag, I'll put that in there. But
Mhm.
um, sorry, but there was like the AFLW season was overlapped. It overlapped. I can't remember what round it was,
Mhm.
but it did overlap, and it was so cool because they had um, multiple AFLW games on leading into the grand final. So on the Thursday night, I went down to Geelong and watched the Geelong women play, and then on the Friday they had I think 3 or 4 games on during the day back to back, and I got to watch all these back to back games, and it just led so nicely into the grand final on the Saturday, and then they had some more games on the Sunday as well. I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, that kind of back to back footy festival type feeling was really cool, and that was obviously just the women's games.
Mhm. Yeah, no, and I think it would work. And like I said, I want it to work. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not trying to be like the overall pessimist and like this will never work. I think it could
Mm.
work, but how many conversions are you going to get that are men's fans that are be like, these women are pretty good. I kind of want to watch this. Like, how many conversions are you going to get?
Mm-hmm.
Because the problem is that there is a little bit of ingrained in the on the W fan base side. And again, I have no problem with it. Is that you have people in communities that have been disenfranchised that do not want to go to a men's game. They do not feel
Mm.
comfortable. They do not feel
Mm.
safe. They do not want to deal with the men's fans. And I fully respect that. But that's the thing. Like, you have to get some of these men's fans over to the women's to be able to fill out these arenas. Is that the type of fans that you want? Would be the other question too. Or can you get fans that are going to be smart about it? Because the women's fan base is very inclusive. It's very understanding. It's very respectful. You don't have the vitriol between clubs that you have in the
Mm.
men's competition. Now, 100 years worth of history, I can understand the vitriol. The women don't have that history. Sometimes they try to plump the men's rivalries into the women's game, and it just doesn't work because
No.
Carlton and Collingwood don't hate each other in the women. Why? Because most of them are friends. So there's just not that vitriol between the two teams. There are very few teams that have vitriol between them. Maybe Brisbane and Adelaide because they keep finding each other come finals time, and it's always competitive, tough games. Melbourne, North Melbourne, and Brisbane now because they've met in a couple of grand finals. But other than that, you don't have the showdown rivalry is starting to kind of get a little bit of nastiness to it, which I kind of appreciate a little bit of aji baji between the two teams. Fully understand that, like it. But the Western Derby, there's not much in it. Carlton Collingwood, there's not much in it. There's a little bit of argy bargy between GWS and Sydney. I've talked to a few of the Sydney players, the GWS girls. They get on each other's nerves. So there's
Yeah.
there's a little bit of it. The Q clash isn't. So it's like you just don't have the rivalry. You don't have the vitriol between the fan bases that you do in the men's. So is that going to come with time? I hope so. I love the little bit of vitriol between it because it makes the atmosphere that much better. I think it's so much fun. But listen, I'm hoping that this works. I really,
Mm.
really do. I want to see conversions. I want to see some men's fans that are like, yeah, I'm going to watch the W because I constantly crow out to my Swans fans that aren't Swans fans for the W. You've got to watch this team. This team is so much fun to watch. There's some incredible talents. There's some girls that you're going to absolutely love. And I've gotten a few people to move over and to watch the women a little bit more. And I think as teams get successful, then you get some more eyeballs. So I'm hoping,
Mm.
crossing my fingers that this works. I really, really do. There's part of me that really worries that it's going to delegitimize the W because they need the men to bring in crowds, and I think that's the only issue that I have with it. So I
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong. I really really do. I really hope I'm wrong. So all right, let's get to the prediction parts of
Yeah.
this particular podcast. Let's get the negative question out of the way. What team from last year do you think will fall down the ladder this year?
Um, it's tough to pick at this stage, but I don't think the Crows will be go as well as they have just with the players that they have lost. And I think they've just got a bit more recruiting to do as far as speed goes. And I think that's where the game is going. Is it's going to just get quicker. And the players that they've still got, they're really great, good players, and even the ones they've recruited. Um, but yeah, I think they're just lacking a bit of speed. So I just think they may be the ones just to fall down a little bit further.
And this is I'm going to say this. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but this is the way it seems to go every year. Last year's darling Carlton, I think could be a faller. Why? Because Sydney 2 years ago, Sydney 3 years ago, gets to the finals, has the incredible second year, drops off the next year. Why? Schedule got difficult. Schedule got more difficult. Okay. The year after that, Hawthorn, same thing. Kind of falls back a little bit. I worry Carlton's schedule this year will be a little bit more difficult. They'll have some tougher tests that they didn't have last year, and they may drop back a little bit. Now, they started off well.
Mm.
Started off well. That's the only thing that I will preview when it comes to for the round one review. But they're one of the teams. The West Coast Eagles also made finals last year. Can they have a continued progression this year under Daisy? I hope so. I really do. St. Kilda. Those are the three teams personally that I think I watch because they just make finals. How does their fixture this year change? Does it become more difficult? And if it does, how does that affect their record? Because again, these teams don't all play each other. So sometimes it is the luck of the fixture is really how it'll go. How you finish the year before could affect the next year. So that's who I think this year could be the teams that I think could fall. biggest riser. What team do you think will rocket up the standings this year?
For me, like I think that um uh Hawthorn are actually going to, I don't think they're going to win it, but I think they're going to be super competitive. I think they've got some really exciting players coming through, and that also have got a few years under their belt now. So I'm excited to see the style of play they bring in. I think I keep saying it, the speed of ball movement, and um, yeah, I'm just super excited to see them. But I'm not sure. Like it's an interesting one. I'm still not sure if they'll make finals, but I definitely think they're going to upset a lot of teams.
Tilly Lucas Rod's loss will be a huge impact. Can they make up for what they do off that halfback line? They were incredible, and the move up to GWS, I think it's great for GWS. It shows a lot that players are leaving Victoria and going to Sydney to play footy. That is amazing for the competition that you're seeing a incredible player. Tilly Lucas Rod is incredible. Love watching them play. So how will that impact Hawthorn? I agree. They could be a faller potentially. I think there's just too much talent. Emily Bates, just with what they have. Anya McDonough, the loss of Eileen Gilroy will be
Mm,
another one to keep an eye on because she was a fire starter for them. Will
yeah.
that affect Anya McDonough's um, production? Because when
Mm,
Aileen Gilroy came back last year, Anya McDonough's goals went up because Aileen
yes.
Gilroy took a lot of pressure off her because she gave another person to worry about. Um, Eliza West, how does she go with another year on that? Can the ever continuing legend that is Caitlin Ashmore? How does she bounce back this year?
Mm.
Jazz Fleming, can she make another a step up on for Hawthorn? For me, the riser is Port Adelaide. I think
Oh yeah.
last year they dealt with a lot of injuries, but when you have one of the best rucks in the entire competition in Matilda Scholl, you've got an incredible young core that you've built with young talent, Lauren Young, Piper
Yeah.
Wingo, um, holy crap. The winger played for Woodville West Torrens. Totally sorry, Coach Smith. I know you're listening to this and you're so angry because this is one of your best players you've ever had. I absolutely love her to death. Shanae Goody. I knew
Ah,
if I
I
talked
love
long enough,
Goody.
I mean, this young core is going to be so much fun to watch grow up. They dealt with some um, some hardships last year. They dealt with some things. They kept Ella. They re-signed Ella Heads, which I think was a fantastic. Sucked losing her at Sydney, but I think she's found herself a nice little place out there. This is a fun team to watch at Port Adelaide and to watch them
Yeah.
grow up together. I think them and Sydney are the two teams both that didn't make finals that I think this year can make finals. Their fixture's a little bit easier, and you're facing West Coast, St. Kilda, and Carlton that are going to have a little bit more difficult fixtures because of where they finished. So for me, Port Adelaide and Sydney are the two teams I think rise up. Fremantle, I worry. Turbo back after a year off, some of the injuries. I just don't see them rising up. Western Bulldogs, they need to grow up. They're still too young
Mm.
for me. Geelong, I'm sitting here looking through some of these lower teams going, just I see issues where they can rise. I just don't know if they rise up to like a huge, like one or position, maybe two. We'll have to see. Can Gold Coast be better? A huge infusion of younger talent. They could go up. Just think it's going to take them a couple of years, a lot like their men's program. It's going to take them a couple of years to let these girls mature to become the footy players that they will be. So I think Port Adelaide and Sydney for me will be two of the risers this year. I think both should make finals this year. Will be interesting.
Yes, Sydney
Just
were actually the other one I was going to say. So I just think with Zippy Fish, like another year under her belt, like she's my favorite player. I love her so
Yep.
much.
And I think and I
And
think
then
and I think Tay Smith coming over from Brisbane, I
I
think
was
is an
about to say her,
incredible
and then
because
Tay Smith.
this takes a lot of pressure off Chloe Malloy. Chloe Malloy can now doesn't have to be that full forward. She can go up and
Hmm.
move to that center half forward line, even almost be a flank, a half forward flank, which I think would be good because you can let her shift into the midfield. Her and Cynthia Hamilton, I think,
Yeah.
incredible.
Montana Ham.
If
Um,
Monham can do it, I think she does. You lose Alice Mitchell to an ACL tear, but I think
mm.
Brianna Terrence back there. You'll get Julie Sullivan back. I'm sorry, the Sydney part of me. I'm going to just go through this. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I just think that there's a lot of growth from last year's team. You have a new coach, the first ever Irish coach in Colin O'Riordan. Could we see a little bit of Irish flair with the Swans? Could we see them do the handball game a lot like the men's program? It'll be fascinating to see. There's a lot of positivity, I think, with the Swans. I think the new additions, a new coach, maybe a little bit of a different eyeball on it. We'll have to see. They're always solid. Laura Gardner's great. Allie Morfin, I want to see a bounce back from her. I think last year she was okay. I don't think she was as good as she can be. Personally, I think her and Matilda Schultz are the two most athletic rucks in the competition. I think they should be 1 and 2 every year because that's how good both of them are. But Allie
Hmm.
was a little bit down last year. I think she was coming off an injury. I think another year training. I think she gets through this year. I'm hoping for a breakout year from Allie, which I think will
Mm.
only help Laura Gardner. It'll help Mon. It'll help Cynthia Hamilton. It'll help Mon. It'll help uh, Darcy Maloney, who moved up from Geelong, who I think she had her moments, but again, she was still kind of getting into the swing with this year's group. So there's a lot of positivity for me personally for my Swans. I think this is going to
Mm.
be a fun year. Not an easy start to the season facing Adelaide,
Yeah.
but but with the changing of the guard, no Hatchard there, Ebony Marinoff, another year under her belt. Can the Swans pull a stunner at the start of the year and maybe throw a little bit of a warning shot the rest of the competition? We'll
Mm.
have to see. We'll find out in tips what I like about that. So we'll fast forward. Let's shake our crystal ball here, Allie. What two teams do you see playing in the last game of the season in the grand final?
Yeah, well, I mentioned it, and it's the obvious one in North Melbourne. I think they're just going to be super strong again. But I think it's just going to be really interesting to see how they go. And it's a big call, but you already mentioned them and how much they're going to improve. But I think their coach is also going to be a massive improvement, and that's Port Adelaide. Like I really do think they've got the cattle to as such to go all the way through to the grand final. As long as they can stay injury free, I think just from what I've seen already in the preseason games and the way they're moving the ball, it's pretty exciting. They're looking to take the game on by switching up the play, and they've built on their kick mark game a bit more, I think. And I think they've gone away a bit from what they've done in the past, where they've kind of just kicked it as long as they can and gone for territory, whereas now they're actually looking to work their way through the game, and either that's by running it with hands or looking to use their foot skills, which they have a lot of great players with some exceptional skills. So I just think they they could go all the way. So they're my tip to make the grand final.
I hate there's always part of me that just goes the plug and play of North Melbourne and Brisbane, but I I really want to tip Melbourne, North Melbourne grand final. I think Melbourne, Kate Horace is still one of the best in the competition. You cannot go against her. It's a little bit like when Aaron Phillips was on the field. That is an instant game changer when they click and it's on. I think Melbourne just ran into the worst possible situation where they had to face North Melbourne instead of meeting them in the grand final. They
Yeah.
really so for me, I think it's an all Melbourne final. I think it's North versus Melbourne in the grand final. I think Brizzy take another step back because a lot of their experienced players are another year older.
Yeah.
They don't have, I think in some situations, Brisbane's really wanting to get to this year's draft because they have a lot of academy girls that are coming in this, which will then give them that refresh that they're going to need because you can't just always rely on Orlo Dwyer, Allie Anderson, Dakota Smith, Dakota Davis, and um, Jade Ellinger. Like they've got some good players, but another year older, another year of footy under their belts. They need a refresh below it because so many of their backup players have left because they're not getting their shot playing for the first team. So that's why you're seeing so many teams sign these youngsters from Brisbane because they knew they weren't going to get an opportunity there. So Brisbane needs a refresh. And I think,
Mm.
could this be a year where they take a step back and it benefits them when it comes to their draft haul because they have several academy girls that are going to take some maneuvering to be able to get back into the fold up at Brighton. So it'll be interesting. So I like Melbourne, North Melbourne in the grand final personally. Again, I'm hoping you're right. We get a Port Adelaide North Melbourne grand final. I think that would be incredible because I think it would be the new versus the old.
Yeah.
I don't mean that old in a derogatory. I mean, yeah,
Mm.
I mean future versus present. We'll say it that way. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, put your hat on. Who's your premier?
I don't want to say North because it's just too like you said, you didn't want to say North and Brisbane, but
It's
yeah,
hard to go away from it though. That's the
it
problem.
is. It is really hard.
Right?
Yeah, I think I'll go North. I just think they're just too good. But
You're
I think, like I said at the start of the podcast, I think it's just going to be such a competitive year, and it's going to
agree.
be really close. And
100%.
yeah, I think anyone could. Well, not anyone, but I think there's a good 6 to 8 teams that could give it a red hot crack.
100%.
Mm,
Absolutely 100%. I'm with you. I don't want to. I hate dynasties. I've said it many, many a time. I hate dynasties, but I think North, just with the depth that they have, they'll win it
mhm.
again. I don't think they'll be undefeated. I think they will lose a game this season, which I
Yeah.
think will be good for the competition. I'm hoping two or more because then it brings the competition a little bit closer.
Hmm.
But I think North, the experience that they have in finals, the way they're structured, they're just so good. They're so good that they're
Mm.
going to be difficult. And the North Melbourne fans have really embraced this team because
Yes.
they haven't had as much fun in the men's. So they've really kind of latched on. I've seen a lot of men's fans that have latched on because we see success, we see
Hmm.
wins, we see
Hmm.
premierships. So they've really latched on to this women's side, which means if it's in Melbourne, if the grand final is in Melbourne, it's going to be a sellout, and the North Melbourne faithful will be everywhere. So
Hmm.
it'll be so much fun. I'm going
North
to tip.
North Melbourne, like I think with you, sorry to butt in,
No,
but
you're good.
you don't want a dynasty as such because you don't want a team to be so dominant for so long. However, what I will say is they have been great for the women's game because
100%.
for example, my dad, he tells everyone about the North Melbourne women's team, and
Mhm.
all his friends, he'll tell all the guys about how good this team is because he just loves watching them play. So that makes me smile.
Well, and they've got some great stars of the game. I mean, Emma Carney will forever be known as one of the best to wear the North Melbourne Kangaroos jumper. I mean, Jazz Garner is the best player in the competition. She doesn't have a best and fairest medal, which is a travesty. But that
Mhm.
girl is the best in the competition. There is no argument. I do not know anybody that can. Kate Hoare is the only one that's close to her, but even Kate Hoare is still a level below what Jazz. Jazz is incredible. I want her
Mhm.
to win a best and fairest, damn it. But the problem is, she's got Ash Riddell. She's
Yeah.
got all these other great players. It's the same reason why I don't think Bont will ever win a Brownlow because
Mhm.
there's too many good players around him that the votes are going to get taken off. How Ash Riddell won last year, I'm still trying to figure out
Mhm.
because there were a few games, personally, in my opinion,
Yeah.
I thought Jazz was better than Ash, but Ash
Yeah.
got more possession,
Mhm.
which again, we kind of spoke about in our AFL review. A ton of possessions doesn't always mean impact. Now, Ash Riddell does kick goal. Ash Riddell does make an impact, score involvement up the yin yang with that
Mhm.
young lady. Again, fully deserved to win it. She had an incredible season with her ability to get the footy and to disperse it. But still, to me, Jazz Gardner is the best player in the competition. It is hard to argue.
Mhm.
But you've got some youngsters coming up: Matilda Schultz, Zippy Fish, Ash Sentra, Ava Usher, Sonny Lappin, um,
Ella Roberts.
Shanae Goody, Ella Roberts. I absolutely adore Ella. She is one
Mm.
of my favorites. I love her.
Yes.
Eden Zanka, I really want her to be healthy because she could, I think, be a superstar out in the West, for sure. Chloe Brown at Adelaide. I think she's the next up and coming superstar at the Adelaide Crows. I think she'll be another fantastic one.
Great
There's
get.
there's so many good ones that I cannot wait to watch this year. Like I said, the two Geelong girls, Priya Bowering and Eva Coucher. I think Geelong got steals with both of those young ladies.
Yeah.
I think once they get in, it's going to be difficult to get them out because they're that good. It's going to be fun. So cannot wait, cannot wait. I'll ask the question. I've already answered it because I say it every year. I'm usually wrong, but I say it every year. Who's your best and fairest winner at the end of the year?
I think Ella Roberts, like we were just you just mentioned about how much you love her as well. Zippy Fish and Ella Roberts are probably tied for my two favorite players. But yeah, I think Ella Roberts, she's an absolute star of the competition, and I would love to see her win
No,
an MVP.
I
And
adore.
I think West Coast will win enough games as well for her to get some good votes.
Yep, I really hope so. I think she'll be a superstar, absolutely one of the best in the competition very, very soon. If he is already one of the best. But when you've got Jazz Garner, you've got Ash Riddell, you've got Sophie Conway, you've got Anne Hatchard, you've got Ebony Marinoff, you've got so many incredible players in this competition. It's not going to be easy. I want
Absolutely.
Jazz Garner to win, and I think the competition's
Yeah.
participants want her to win, but the umpires just don't notice her. And I
Mm.
joked one time, I said she should dye her hair blonde and wear neon colored boots, and maybe she'd win more votes because I don't know what it is, but she just is so smooth. It's almost like she's not even there. And it's like,
Mm.
it's so frustrating. I want Jazzy to win. The problem is she's got Ash Riddell and some of the incredible players at North. I don't think she will. I love Ella Roberts. I think she is a smoky for that. I'm also going to say Matilda Schultz. If you are correct and Port
Yeah.
Adelaide potentially gets to a grand final, could we see a ruck win it? Because Matilda Schultz, again, is one of the best rucks in the entire competition. She's like a fourth midfielder once she gets onto the ground. Her incredible athleticism, her ability to take a specky. We've already seen her take mark of the year before. She kicks goals. She makes an impact. If it's not Jazzy, I'm leaning Ella Roberts or Matilda Schultz are my two other ones that I think they're on a team where they are the best player on the team, which means they're instantly going to be noticeable. Matilda is around every ruck contest, which means she's around the umpires. So Matilda Schultz and Ella Roberts, I think if Jazzy doesn't, I want Jazzy to win. I'm gonna trumpet it to the moon. I think Jazzy should win it. But if she doesn't, I think Ella Roberts and Matilda Schultz. I'm with you on that. I love Ella. That's an incredible call, especially if Daisy and the Eagles continue to progress the way they are. So,
Mm.
as we said, the first game of round one has already completed. Again, we will discuss that in the next episode when we review round one. So let's move to the Thursday night footy game. We don't have men's, so we get women's Thursday night footy. Cannot wait. Hawthorn, Melbourne, a cracker at Icon Park. Cannot wait for this. Who do you like in this one?
This is a really tough one to pick, especially because I do think the Hawks will have a good year. But I'm excited to see Melbourne with a new coach. I think people may be sleeping on them a little bit. I think they'll still be a really strong side. Um, yeah, I'm struggling to pick this one, but I think I'll go Melbourne just because of their experience to start the season off. But I think Hawthorn will do well too.
I'm gonna tip Melbourne in this one. Kate Hoare is, like I said, is the instant impact changer for
Mm.
me. Um, Hawthorne, again, I don't know what the loss of Tilly Lucas Rod will be. That's my biggest thing because they were the stabler. I apologize for the people that catch this. I'm trying to be sure that I use the
You're
correct
doing
wording
well.
here. I apologize for that. Billy Lucas Rod, that loss, their loss is, I think, could be an impact on this team.
Mm.
They really let a lot out of the halfback, which then let the forward line, let Anya McDonough be what she is. No Eileen Gilroy. I think those two losses, I think, are a little bit too much. I think it's going to take them a little bit of time to get used to it. So preseason play, I put it with a grain of salt a little bit because not everybody's playing their best, not everybody's playing their full
Mm.
tactics that they're going to do. So I look at it a little bit, but then I kind of forget it. because there really isn't much of an impact in the long run. So give me Melbourne on this one. Kate Hoare, um, she's just such a change impact. How do we see the change of Eden Zanka's loss? Will they have another person there when it comes to it? I mean, you've just got so many young talents, so many great talents. Taylor Hanks in there, Fitzsimons is in there. So I just think there's a little too much firepower on Melbourne's side. So give me Melbourne in this one. North Melbourne versus Geelong as a double header down up at Marvel Stadium. I know it's your beloved Cats. Can they pull a stunner to start the season, or will North start 1-0?
Well, Geelong do have a pretty good record against North. They're the only team to that they didn't win, but they drew with them. So, um, but yeah, I think North will be too strong, especially on Marvel Stadium. The run and power they'll experience that they'll have in their legs. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to see what Geelong can do this year. I think they'll be inconsistent, just because of still the youth they've got coming through and not as much depth there. But pretty excited to see what. Oh my gosh, I'm having a memory blank. Is it Steiner? Is that how you say his name? How do you say the coach's name?
For
From
North,
Melbourne,
for North, for
Geelong's coach.
Geelong. Oh crap! Yeah, I'm
They've
totally
got the
yeah.
sorry, I
The,
can't think of his
the
name,
former
which is really
Melbourne
bad.
coach, the former Melbourne coach. Yeah, I know it's exactly what you're talking about. I'm
Yeah,
totally losing it myself.
he's a great coach, so I feel terrible right now, but I'm just going to blame that on baby brain. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see what he can do with the Cats for sure. So I think he'll bring a wealth of experience and knowledge, and by the sounds of it, he's already done that in pre-season. So tough start coming up against the Premiers, but so
Mixed
yeah,
in the
going with
air.
Kangaroos. Thank you.
Mixed in the air.
I
Yep.
was like Stein. I know that's Jim's
No,
son,
no,
so
mixed
mixed
in
in
the air.
here.
Here's the way I'll say it. I'm going to tip North, but being under the lid, I think helps Geelong with their run game because
Mm,
again, there's a ton of speed in this midfield, as you said. Michaela Bowen, Nina Morrison, Georgie Prasparkas, incredible pace there, incredible ability. Can North muck it up to save themselves some running? Can Ash Riddell get to the footy first? Jazz Garner get to the footy first? How is the ruck? How is the ruck battle? Because
mm,
if it gets into space, I think Geelong has a little bit of an advantage. The problem you run into is that if it comes in forward, the defensive socks for Geelong are not exactly tall,
yeah,
and you've got some tall Sheilor. Oh my gosh, totally brain farting on a couple of these. North is just they're so long, they're athletic, and they mark well. I just think that's going to give them headache. So I'm going to tip North. But if the Cats can get the ball into space and get footy out of contest and get it into space, they're going to have. So I think they're going to be able to attack this defense. It's a very good defense. So you've got to be smart going inside 50. You can't just bomb it in long because it's going to be intercept mark and run right back down the other way.
yeah.
So I think Marvel Stadium actually helps Geelong be a little bit more competitive in this. But I think North, again, just a little bit too strong in this one. Let's move over
Mhm.
to Icon Park, where we see the Richmond Tigers and probably the debut of Olivia Wolmarins join up and face the number one pick from last year, Ash Centra and the Collingwood Magpie. Who do you like in this one?
Gosh, this is a tough one as well. Um, I think in this one, I think I like the Pies, just with some of the strength they've got in the players back. So, like I mentioned about Mattia Bree, but also Bree Davey as well, the experience that she brings into the side, and Richmond are just still so young. So I think yeah, I think the Pies, but it could go either way. It's a really tough one. And I mean, just a player I wanted to mention for the Tigers is Sierra Greaves. I think
Mm-hmm.
she
Okay.
had a really good end to the season last season. And I think I'm just really excited to see her. I didn't mention her in like my up and coming players, but I think she's going to have um, she's going to have a really breakout year for the Tigers.
Yeah, I think so too. I originally was going to tip Richmond, but then I remembered Ellie McKenzie will be out. She broke her arm
Yeah.
in that Australia Ireland game, which absolutely stinks. So I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go with Collingwood because Mon Conti again. I don't is Bree Davy playing? That'll be the $1 million question.
Oh yeah.
Matia Breed coming back from an ACL. How will she come off of it? Ask Centra. This is her opportunity to kind of grab the bull by the horns and
Yeah.
show why she was the number one overall pick. Again, incredible player. She had flashes, but you could tell she was on a team that wasn't as good.
Hmm.
She was kind of they kind of wanted to kind of wean her in slowly into it. So she started off forward. We'll have to see. Does she get more run through the midfield? Does she get to show off the incredible talent that she has? So I'm going to go with you
Hmm.
on this one. I think the loss of Ellie McKenzie hurts the Tigers a little bit, but I think this is going to be a competitive game. It's going to be fun to watch, but I agree with you. I think the Pies on this one. Two up and coming teams at People First Stadium as the Gold Coast Suns host the Western Bulldogs up at the Gold Coast on this one. Give me the doggies on this one. A little bit more consistency. Again, they're more known quantities on the Western Bulldogs list. I don't know. Will you see all of the young talent for this Gold Coast team on the field, or will it be a slow inclusion into the team with the Sonny Lappins, the Ava Ushers, all of the superstar talent that Gold Coast got in this last year's draft? There's more. There's more consistency and more known products on the Western Bulldog side for me, so I will tip the doggies.
I think I'm going to go against you on this one.
That's fine.
I'm feeling pretty bullish on the Suns, and I say give me all the kids, get them out there playing. I just want to watch them do their thing, and yeah, I'm actually pretty excited to watch the Gold Coast Suns and see, you know. Georgia Davies and Dakota Barron and like
Yeah,
these young kids that I've got to see firsthand last year. Uh, Ava Usher will be good to see
yeah.
her have a
Just want
crack
her
at it.
healthy. Just want her healthy.
Yeah, and then you've got the what's her name, Daisy Darcy coming
Yeah,
through from I think she's coming back from an ACL, so I'm pretty excited to see her back and bringing her experience,
yeah.
her foot skills, um, and yeah, just their forward line, Havana Harris. I think she's going to have a huge season. Like I'm so excited to watch her go about it, and
Yep.
yeah, pretty excited about the Suns.
Yep. That's I just like I said, for me, it's more known quality. We don't know what all of these youngsters are going to do if they when they do make their debut. How will they? I mean, it is easy to be good in 18-year-olds when it's the same age bracket. When you're facing mature women that
Mm,
have years of footy experience, we'll have to see. It could be a little bit of welcome to the AFLW moment. We'll have to see. For me, it's known quantity. I have known quantity in the Bulldogs. I don't
yeah.
know what Gold Coast is going to be with all of this young talent. So,
Mm-hmm.
but no, I fully get it. I mean, the talent wise, yeah, I fully agree with you. But just known quantity for me when it comes to Western Bulldogs. All right, Essendon, Brisbane, Windy Hill. I mean, no Maddie Prasparkas, absolutely. Bonnie too good. I love her to death, but there's not much you can do when you don't have your Batman to your Robin. Brisbane Lions for me, and this could be a nice little opening for the Lions, especially starting on the road in Victoria.
Yeah, I think it's a tough day for Essendon coming up against Brisbane straight up. So yeah, that I'll go with Brisbane for that one. Good for them that it's going to be at Windy Hill, but yeah, I just yeah can't see them getting over the line.
All right, let's go to your neck of the woods at Unley Oval in Adelaide as the Crows take on the Swans in a fun matchup to start the season. I'm going to go to you first. Crows, Swans, who you
This,
like?
this is a tough one actually. I think the fact that it's at Unley Oval does even it up a bit more. I can't remember if I said it previously, but you did. So I'm with you. I think Sydney are going to be a tough team to beat this year, and I'm really excited to see what they can do. So I'm going to tip Sydney in an upset away. I think round one, all the teams are raring to go, excited. I don't know if there's that much of a home ground advantage when you're playing round one on the oval. So obviously you got the fans behind you, but yeah, I think Sydney will be ready to go, and just with the talent they've got coming through, is I'll go with Sydney.
Yeah, Unley Oval a lot bigger than than Norwood. So
Yes.
that helps Sydney for sure. I'm going to tip the Crows, and let me explain why. First season under a new coach, there's some players and some injury doubt. I know Tanya Kennedy has a back injury. There's a reason she didn't play in the rep game. So that's a loss for me because that's your Ebony Marinoff tag.
Yeah.
If Ebony Marinoff gets off the chain and you've got Caitlin Gould, you've got Maddie Newman, you've got some of the talent that you have. Grace Kelly didn't play, neither of the Kelly sisters played in that. Grace Kelly didn't play in the rep game. So, how is her health? I just think first game under a new coach on the road, difficult ask. I know we've had some preseason games. The girls have they've gotten the system down, but you never play the full system that you do. And sometimes that first game, it's going to have some growing pains. And against a quality Adelaide side, I like the Crows in this one. I don't like saying it, but on the road, tough one to start off, and especially playing a new system, difficult. I think the Crows in this one, but I think the Swans are competitive. I think it comes to late, and you get an Ebony Marinoff, you get a Caitlin Gould, you get a superstar player for the Crows that does just enough to help them get over the line. But it does not say that Sydney's not good. It just says that it's just a bad matchup for the first game of the season. That's personally on this one. I hope I'm wrong. I'm touching wood. The Swans
Yeah.
pull this one off. But for me, this is the worst. If you were at home at Henson Park or North Sydney Oval, I'd be much more confident
Mm.
because you could get away with a few things because you have the fan base to rev you up. But the fact that you're on the road, mistakes double. And when you're playing a new system, mistakes can happen. So we'll have to see. Again, hope I'm
Just
wrong.
just while we're on the Crows, sorry, I was going to say someone that I am super excited to watch, and I think she's going to have a huge year is Eloise Jones. I think she's
Yep,
going to really step up this year for the Crows, just as a leader of that footy club.
yep,
Yeah, she's so talented. So yeah,
yep.
keen to see what she can do this year.
And Julie Sullivan coming back from an ACL tear, she would be the tagger that would most likely
Mm,
get it if she doesn't play. There's not many matchups that match up on Eloise Jones, so it becomes a scary proposition when the ball goes into the defense for the Swans on that one. So
mm.
that's why I tip the Crows on that one. Fun one over at Coburn out in Perth. I know it's spelled differently, but I know how it's said correctly in Australia. Fremantle versus Port Adelaide in this one. I know it's a road game, but Eden Zanka sounds like she is not going to play. She's still having a foot problem. Turbo's first game back. I like the up and comers. Give me Port Adelaide. I know on the road, but give me Port Adelaide on this.
You're probably asleep, but I did see Eden Zanker was named as a debutant for Frio, so I think she's playing, maybe. Which,
Let's keep an eye on that because foot
yeah, I
problems.
was surprised.
It wouldn't shock me if they pull a Swift one, they name her and then she goes out. But
Mm,
even
yeah,
still, she hasn't had much training. She hasn't played in
no,
any of the preseason
yeah,
games. I mean, she's going to be rusty. But even if they're playing, still like Port.
yeah.
So
I was very shocked when I seen that she was named. So, but yeah, I'm going Port as well. I think, like I said, I'm tipping them to make the grand final. So I have to tip
got to
them
stick with it.
because I
Got to stick with it,
reckon
right?
gonna start off strong with a win. Yep. And yeah, I just
Oh,
think they're going to be um, super exciting, starting with Matilda Schultz with the first tap.
yep. It'll be Matilda Schultz Mimstrom. What an incredible ruck battle
Ooh,
that's going to be.
yeah,
That's going to be fun because those are really good rucks in that one. Let's have over to the final game of the round at NG Stadium, also a part of a doubleheader as we see the Giants take on the Eagles in this one. I love Ella Roberts. I love what Daisy Pierce is doing. GWS getting new players in, a young team. Give me the Eagles on this one.
yeah, same. Eagles for me for this one. Love their young players coming through there. Charlotte Riggs and then yeah, like I mentioned before with Ella Roberts and co. So I think yeah, that give me the Eagles for two.
Yep. Oh, it's going to be fun. So, well, Ali, that is it. That is all round one tipped. We have previewed the season. I cannot wait. Another fantastic, only 12 games. It goes way too damn quick. So, round one, we got to enjoy it while we do. Cannot wait for it. just real quickly before we get off, Allie, what's one thing that you're going to look forward to when it comes to this season, um, going forward in the W?
One thing I'll repeat myself, but it'll just be the style of play um, of the AFLW this year, just the speed of the game. Seeing that running handball game, I think we'll see that this year. So I'm excited just to see how that progress and the growth of the game goes.
I think last year Gemma Bastiani called the draft a super draft. I'm going to say this now: is if you thought that was a super draft, can't wait for this year because I think the explosion of young talent making an impact on teams, we haven't we're still just scratching the surface to it.
Absolutely.
When you have some of these incredible talents from this year's draft who I think are going to make debuts, they're going to make an impact, they're going to change this game and make it that much better. I say my thing that I say is the impact of the first, second, and third year players from these young drafts that have been playing footy since they were little girls and have never had to stop. We will see that impact continue to change the W for the better. And I
Mm-hmm.
cannot wait to see some of these youngsters. We've named several of them from this last year's draft that I think can make big impacts this year, just like a Zippy Fish, just like an Ash Centra and years before. Cannot wait. It's going to be so much fun. The youth will expand this league. It's going to be so much fun to watch. Cannot wait. Round one, a nuts round for me because I have 9 games in the men and 8 games in the women.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Plus, I'm keeping track of the state leagues. Plus, I'm keeping track of finals in the Waffle and the Sample W, which is a perfect lead in for me because I got the Sample W in my sample chat. I will be doing tomorrow morning when it comes to it, previewing the Sample W finals and the Samples last month of play just before their last 2 rounds. Cannot wait for it. So ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Again, Ali, thank you so much for hopping on. It's been fun doing 2 shows back to back. We did our AFL show, as we said a little bit earlier. Now we get our W preview show done. This is so much fun. Again, Ali, take care. It is wonderful to chat with you. Thank you so much for hopping on the podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this episode of Donnie's Disposals. Like I said, we have a sample show coming up later on this week and more footy coverage very, very soon.